Hi, this is Michael Buffer, and welcome to the BoxHard Podcast.
Hello, everyone. This is Mikey Garcia.
Yo, it's your boy, the odd guy himself, Malik King Scott.
Hi, I'm Charlie Edwards.
This is Fast Eddie Chambers, and you're listening to the BoxHard Podcast with my main man, Joey Coastman.
Hello everybody and welcome to episode 164 of the BoxHard Podcast. I'm your host, Joey Coastman. I'm joined as always by Mr. Ayaz Sumra. Ayaz, how you doing?
I'm good, Joey. Yourself?
Very good, my friend, very good. Let's dive straight into the review part of the show. If you're not a Tyson Fury fan, by the way, you should probably switch off already because there's going to be a lot of ranting and raving about that. But we're not going to start there. We're going to start in a venue called the Suncorp Stadium in Brisbane, Queensland, Australia. Now, this was pretty bizarre as well. We saw here Jeff Horn, the former welterweight world champion. He moved up in weight, 2 weight divisions, up to middleweight, and he took on Anthony Mundine, a man that is firmly past his best. Anthony Mundine, 48-8, and obviously Jeff Horn, 18-1 with 1 draw. That 1 loss came to Crawford. It was for the vacant WBA Oceania middleweight title and the WBO Oriental middleweight title. Now, unbelievably, this card was shown on pay-per-view out in Australia. I mean, we moan about all the pay-per-views over here. I'd rather pay 15 pay-per-views a year over here than pay 1 pay-per-view to see what happened in that ring the other night. I mean, Jeff Horn hit Mundine with a shot. It didn't even look like a powerful shot. I mean, I reckon it kind of looked like, I don't know if you've ever seen like 2 10-year-olds having a fight. And, you know, these guys, 10-year-olds, they're not the hardest of punchers. You know, they're not full-grown adults. And I've seen 10-year-olds have better looking fights than what I saw here. Jeff Horn landed a shot on Mundine in the very first round, and Mundine goes down and stays down, and you know, he didn't even try to beat the count. He was knocked out in the first round. I mean, that is robbing the bank in broad daylight. I mean, it was absolutely dreadful. I mean, it really should be investigated. Anthony Mundine, I mean, all the talk he was giving in the build-up, all this stuff he was saying about Jeff Horn, and Jeff Horn's flattened him there, and Mundine straight away retired. Right after the fight, he retired. I mean, let's have it right. No one should be having a pay-per-view worthy fight, and they're that long in the tooth that they're actually going to retire after the fight. I mean, that goes to show he just wanted to rob the bank one more time. And I mean, I didn't watch the fight, but I've got that much passion about it. It was absolutely disgraceful from Mundine. He leaves the sport of boxing, thankfully. His record 48-9, and Jeff Horn 19-1 with 1 draw. It's a fantastic big win in Australia, but to be honest, for people that are outside of Australia that actually know boxing, it means absolutely zero. So, not quite sure what Jeff Horn's going to be doing. I'm guessing he's not going to be staying at middleweight because he's tiny for the weight. Complete bizarre. That was pretty shocking. On the undercard, though, a guy called Ben Horn made his debut. Obviously 0-0 his record, and he got in there against a guy who was also making his debut, and I'm guessing Ben Horn must be some kind of relation to Jeff Horn, and Ben Horn got knocked out in the 4th round of a 4-rounder. So in the final round he gets knocked out. Very bad stuff for Ben Horn, but fantastic stuff for Jeff Horn. I'm sure he's earned a few bucks for the crazy Australian fans that actually paid for that. I know that a lot of Australians actually listen to this show, so let me know if you felt that you got value for money. Moving out now to Italy. This one was the Matchroom Italy show. It happened at the Teatro Obi Hall in Florence. We saw Fabio Turchi, his record, in fact it's Fabio Turchi, his record 15-0, it's now 16-0. He also defended successfully his WBC International Silver Cruiserweight title against our very own Tony Conquest. A knockout in the 7th round. Very sad for Conquest, really, because it's been quite a number of years now since he's had a a good win. I think he's been very inactive. He hasn't really fought anyone of note recently, and I don't think he had the best preparation for this fight here. And unfortunately, I actually fancied him to pull off the upset, because this guy, Turkey, had never really been tested at that kind of gritty level, and Tony Conquest just couldn't provide a challenge for him, really. And Conquest, right before the knockout, he looked at his corner and winked at him just to basically say, yeah, I'm completely fine. And then he gets knocked out about 10 seconds later. So very, very sad for him. Also on the bill, we saw Devis Boshiero, a man with an absolutely beautiful looking record. 46-6 now with 2 draws. It's one of the best padded records I've ever seen. I mean, this guy, it is just so padded. I mean, he must be warm all the time, because he's so padded. 46-6 now with 2 draws. He took on our very own Martin J. Ward. It ended up being a split decision over 12 rounds in favour of Ward. His record now 21-1 with 2 draws. He also took the vacant WBC International Silver Super Featherweight title home. Also on the bill, topping the bill pretty much, Andrea Scarpa, former opponent of O'Hara Davies. He took on our very own Joe Hughes. Another split decision over 12 rounds. It went in favour of the Brit once again. So Joe Hughes is now 17-3 with 1 draw, and Andrea Scarpa 23-5. And the belt on the line here was the vacant EBU European Super Lightweight title. Moving over now to the Olympia in Liverpool, Merseyside, United Kingdom. We saw one fight to mention over here, and this was a shock for me. I mean, we saw Sean Masher Dodd, 15-4 with 1 draw, take on Jordan Ellison, a journeyman with a record of 10-19. And Sean Dodd actually got beat on points over 6 rounds. So he's really gone downhill since the few fights that he was involved in on Matchroom shows, like, your Cardle fight and obviously, Tommy Coyle and the rest of that. He seems like he's really lost a step. That's it for that one. Moving out now to the Paramount Theatre in Huntington, New York, USA. We've got one fight to mention over here. The return of former world champion Chris Algieri, 21-3 going in now, 22-3. A unanimous decision over 10 rounds against Angel Hernandez, who's now 14-12 with 2 draws. Hernandez had never been stopped going in, and of course he wasn't stopped here. I said that last week. I said, to be honest, this is a perfect opponent to get the rounds in and get back into the swing of things. Algieri, I think, won every round there, so it's good to see him back. He's been out the ring for 2.5 years. Moving out now to the Centre Videotron in Quebec, Canada. We have a couple of fights to mention here. Let's start with the undercard. Alexander Teslenko moved to 15-0. That was a 3rd round TKO against Edson Antonio, who's now 40-8 with 1 draw. Teslenko's one to watch, by the way, in the heavyweight division, a good prospect from Ukraine. Moving up the bill once again, talking of heavyweight prospects, Oscar Rivas, he moved to 25-0. The former Olympian representing Colombia by way of Canada. Like I say, 25-0. It was a successful defense of his NABF heavyweight title, and he defeated the previously undefeated Fabio Maldonado, who's now 26-1. Oscar Rivas has got a fight in about 3 or 4 weeks' time against Bryant Jennings in January. I think it's mid-January, so all the very best to Oscar Rivas. Moving up the bill once again, it's now time to talk about the main event here. Adonis Stevenson, 29-1 with 1 draw going in. He took on the undefeated Alexander Gvozdyk, who has a record now of 16-0, but he went into the contest 15-0. It was for the WBC World Light Heavyweight strap, of course, which did belong to Stevenson. I want to get down to the fight here. Round 1, I think that Stevenson was straight on the front foot. Gvozdyk looked a little bit tense for me, actually. Stevenson did connect with about 4 or 5 left hands, which was a little bit concerning, to be honest, but Gvozdyk did take the shots well, and the defense was a little bit leaky from Gvozdyk, like I say, but he did take the shots well. Definitely a Stevenson round. In the second round, the timing from Stevenson was so on point. I mean, he was connecting again with big left hands. Gvozdyk was waiting too long. He was being too patient, and he was falling short a lot with his shots. So another round there for Stevenson. Now in the third round, down went Stevenson. It was 2 seconds into the round, but the referee ruled it a no knockdown. Stevenson took his time to get up, actually, so it would appear that he was hurt. He didn't just spring back up as if it was a complete slip or anything. And Gvozdyk suddenly had a lot of energy. Like, I think he realised he really did connect, and he tried to kind of finish him off right there. But Stevenson, despite taking a few meaty right hands off Gvozdyk, he did manage to see through the trouble and the little bits of danger there. But the referee made a bad mistake. I mean, the replay showed it was a legit knockdown. It should have been a 10-8 round, which would have levelled the scoring on my card. But instead, Gvozdyk had to settle for a 10-9 round in his favour. But yeah, the fight was hotting up at that point. In the fourth round, I felt was a very close round. Stevenson started well, but Gvozdyk finished very well. Probably, if I had to, I'd probably edge it to Gvozdyk on the later work in the round. In the fifth round, Gvozdyk was constantly circling to the left, making sure he was always moving away from Stevenson's power hand, and Gvozdyk started to out-throw Stevenson at that point. He wasn't landing with much, but Stevenson was throwing singular shots too often, and it was a clear round for Gvozdyk there. In the sixth round, I felt that Stevenson came back into it and started to do a little bit less headhunting and more variation in terms of his shot placement. I actually gave that one to Stevenson. Round 7 was a great round for Gvozdyk. He got through with a few big shots. A Gvozdyk round for sure. He seemed to be matching Stevenson's pace and even pulling away in the last half of the round. Like I say, a clear Gvozdyk round. Now in the 8th round, Stevenson, he was looking quite tired, I think, and Gvozdyk was outworking him and all round being busier. There was limited head movement from Stevenson. Stevenson was looking a little bit old in there all of a sudden, and for me, another round there for Gvozdyk. The 9th round I felt was a very, very close round. Gvozdyk probably just about did enough. It was a close-ish fight, really, after 9 rounds, and in the 10th round, Stevenson connected with a lovely left hand, and he actually staggered Gvozdyk, and Gvozdyk held on straight away, and he showed his ring smarts there. And then in the last few seconds of that round, Gvozdyk hit Stevenson flush with about 5 or 6 punches, which looked beautiful. But obviously Gvozdyk didn't appear like he really had that, the same kind of power that Stevenson possesses. And it was a very close round, but I actually edged that one to Stevenson, which is a little bit surprising, I think. And then in the 11th round, Gvozdyk at one point managed to trap Stevenson on the ropes, and Stevenson looked in trouble, but Gvozdyk wasn't able to put him away. And then again, Gvozdyk hurt Stevenson and had him on the ropes, and then finally Stevenson was knocked out. And after 3 separate incidents where he was badly hurt in that round, Gvozdyk did manage to finish him off with a number of clean shots, both right and left hands, and down went Stevenson, and the referee waved it off immediately. And initially I actually thought it was a little bit premature, but Stevenson did stay down, and he stayed down for an awful long time. And then obviously in the aftermath of it all, we know what's happened there. Stevenson went to hospital. It was very, very concerning, and they've decided to place him in a medically induced coma. So a lot of people at the moment have got Adonis Stevenson in their prayers. Obviously, he's got a very torrid past. He's had an awful past, really, and he's not the nicest human being in the world. But we all, of course, want him to recover from this, but I think that is certainly the end of the road for him in terms of his boxing career, which is a shame because it means that we're never going to get to see that Kovalev fight. I mean, both guys should have fought when they were both champions, but Kovalev lost his belts and then Stevenson lost his belts and a major part of his health it could be. So prayers for Stevenson. We're all praying for Stevenson, and hopefully he makes a full recovery. But I think that's certainly it for him in a boxing ring. But yeah, he's had a good career. He's made a decent amount of money, and of course he's reigned for a long, long time in that light heavyweight division. But yeah, that's really it on that one. Did you manage to catch any of that fight there, Ayaz?
No, unfortunately I didn't.
No problem. Let's move on then. Let's move out now to Poland at the PGE Taro Arena in a place called Gzorgzlek. I think I had trouble last week pronouncing that one, but we saw our very own Ashley Theophane 44-8 with 1 draw. He picked up win number 45. He made his opponent retire on his stool after 3 rounds. His opponent was called Bakhtiar Izgandazada. His record's now 11-16. Moving now to York Hall, Bethnal Green, London, United Kingdom. Quite a decent card, this one. I said it last week. There was a few decent fights on the bill. One of them was Yusuf Kamari. He moved to 7-0. A TKO in the 6th and final round against David Birmingham, who's now 8-3. We also saw We also saw Jonathan Palata. He moved to 3-0, a win against the undefeated Michael Lukakic, who now has a record of 1-1 with one draw. He was undefeated. He was 1 win and 1 draw going in. So nice little points win over 4 rounds there for Jonathan Palata, a man that's being trained by Don Charles. He's a heavyweight, by the way. Also on the bill, we saw Linus Udofia, 10-0. A lot of people very, very high on this guy. He went to points over 8 rounds. He won on points against the previously undefeated Michael Gazdic, who was 3-0. But Gazdic has had 3 fights in, I think it's 3 months. He's only been a pro for 15 weeks, and he's had 3 fights in 15 weeks, and now a 4th one. So, I think he's 35 years of age. I expected Udofia to get him out of there, but he ended up going to points over 8 rounds there. Also on the bill, we saw Ozzy Jervia. He lost his winning record, because he's now 6-6. It was for the vacant Southern Area Cruiserweight title against Dion Juma, the undefeated 10-0 prospect. He moved to 11-0, a TKO in the 5th round there. And then the rubber match, Miles Shinkwin, friend of the show, 14-4. He stepped in there once again with Joel McIntyre, who had a record of 18-3. Both men had a win over the other one previously, so it was 1-1 on the unofficial scoreboards, and it was all about who would win here and emerge victorious and kind of shut the book on that chapter there. And Miles Shinkwin managed to win unanimously over 10 rounds. He also picked up the vacant English light heavyweight title. On the back of that, Joel McIntyre's decided to retire from the sport of boxing, so all the very best to him, and I'm absolutely over the moon for Miles Shinkwin. And now moving out to the big one at the Staples Center in Los Angeles, California, USA. Let's start with the undercard here. We saw Jesse Bam Rodriguez move to 8-0, a unanimous decision over 6 rounds against Jose Morales, who's now 8-9 with 3 draws. The brother of Deontay Wilder, Marcellus Wilder, he went to points over 4 rounds. Unanimously he won against David Damore. So Marcellus Wilder's now 3-0. Also, Julian J. Rock Williams, friend of the show, got a knockout in the 2nd round against Francisco Castro, who's now 28-9. Julian Williams is now 26-1 with 1 draw. That 1 loss came to Jermall Charlo. Robert the Ghost Guerrero returned to the ring. He got a knockout in the 2nd round against Adam Mate, who's now 28-13. The Ghost, though, has a record now of 34-6 with 1 draw. Mate was down in the 1st round and then twice in the 2nd. Chris Arreola, he was in the ring also. He managed to pick up another win. That's win number 37. He's got 5 losses and a draw. He made his opponent quit in the corner after 6 rounds. It was a scheduled 8-rounder, but Lorenzo Smith decided he didn't want to come out for the 7th round, so his record now 20-11 with 4 draws. Also on the bill, we saw Big Joe Joyce. He got a 1st round knockout against Joe Hanks. This one was for the WBA Continental Heavyweight title. Joe Joyce, Ayaz, I mean, this guy is going through people like a hot knife through butter. I know that he hasn't really fought anyone on that world stage yet, but you've got to remember, he's only, I think this is his 7th fight here, I believe, or 6th fight, and he's just absolutely obliterating people at the moment. I want to see him stepped up. They're talking about the Ortiz fight already. I would love to see that next for him.
Joe Joyce is doing very, very well. I think he's getting fast-tracked very quickly, but the Ortiz fights, I'm not sure if he's... I wouldn't go for that fight already. To be fair, I think that's a bit early for a step up. The fight I would like to see would be him versus Huey Fury. I think that'd be a good step up for him. I think that'd be a British level. Someone like a Huey Fury or David Price, I think that'd be a very good step up fight for Joe Joyce. And then I would like to see him fight the likes of Luis Ortiz. But I think I wouldn't fight him. I wouldn't want to make him fight Ortiz, because I remember the time when David Price was going very, very quick. He was beating everyone up, and then when he fought Tony Thompson knocked him out. Obviously, it was a drug cheat. He beat him first time, and then it's that mentality. So I wouldn't want to rush him. I'll wait until the end of 2019, then make him have a big a step up. Someone like Luis Ortiz.
Well, I mean, I don't think his management are going to do that. I think they're in a hurry with him, which is fantastic news for people like us and boxing fans. I mean, like I say, he's getting on in age, so all the very best to him. Joe Hanks, to his credit, I mean, he did come and give it a go. He did hit Joyce with a couple of big-looking shots, but that was about it. Joyce hurt Hanks with a big shot, and then Hanks actually, with quite a delayed reaction, he fell towards the ropes, but he stayed on his feet, and maybe the referee should have jumped in there, but he didn't. And then Joyce actually backed right up off of him, kind of thing, and he gave him loads of space, which he didn't need to. And the referee kind of looked at Joyce like, why did you stop? Because I think Joyce thought the referee was going to jump in, or he was at least suggesting, hey, you may as well jump in, but the referee didn't, so Joyce had no choice but to step back in and finish him off, really. I mean, the left hook was the finishing punch from Joyce, and Hanks went down heavily, and I was very surprised he even tried to get back up, but he did try, and he fell down once again. The referee waved it off, and rightly so. Another quick night's work for Joyce, though. A step up for me is needed. I think Joyce is absolutely brilliant, and he's way too good for this level here. I think he's a rare talent that can be moved up very, very, very quickly. Moving up the card once again, we saw Isaac Lowe move to 16-0. He's also got 3 draws. It was a knockout in the 5th round against Lucas Baez, who now has a record of 34-17 with 5 draws. This guy was a hell of a lot more experienced than Isaac Lowe, but Isaac Lowe's done well to get in there and get the knockout there. That one was for the vacant WBC International Featherweight title, so not a bad little title there for Isaac Lowe. Also on the bill, we saw Luis Ortiz take on Travis Kaufman. Now, Luis Ortiz went into the bout with a record of 29-1, and Travis Kaufman, friend of the show, 32-2. Kaufman was down in the 6th round, the 8th round, and then finally knocked out in the 10th round. I mean, this fight here was not great for me. I think Ortiz did not look good at all. It kind of reminded me of when he fought Malik Scott. There was nothing impressive about it. There really wasn't. Travis Kaufman did not come to fight. The fight itself, I mean, I'm going to really try and go through this as quick as possible because I don't want to bore people to sleep here, but Kaufman did not throw a single punch in the first round. I felt that Kaufman's tactics was probably to try and let Ortiz get tired, but, you know, he didn't land anything, and Ortiz didn't even land much himself. It was a boring round there, but obviously Ortiz won for trying to, you know, press the action. He got off with a few jabs. In the second round, Kaufman came out in southpaw. I'm not quite sure why. Ortiz once again was the aggressor. Kaufman did let his hands go a little bit more. He did land a nice left, but Kaufman was clearly boxing to a plan to come on strong late, it looked. He didn't really look like he was in the best of shape himself, though, but Kaufman was clearly thinking in there. In the third round, Kaufman got hit low and he took some time, and then when the pair fought on, Kaufman decided to stand and trade with Ortiz, and he took a big left hook and a right hook that troubled him for a second, and Kaufman did get back to his plan, though. He kept the range, but still 3-0 after 3 for Ortiz in my books. In the 4th round, it was another round for Ortiz. He was getting frustrated, though. Kaufman just looked too small, and he didn't look strong enough to dictate anything. Ortiz looked in control, and he was winning every round. I was wondering if he'd tire or not, but it was such a slow-paced fight. In the 5th round, it was another round for Ortiz, but Kaufman was more active than any of the previous rounds. He needed to do something. The pace of the fight was too easy for Ortiz. And in the 6th round, that was the first knockdown round. It was a 10-8 round, of course, for Ortiz. Kaufman was down from a beautiful straight left hand. Kaufman did get back up, though, and he fought well, to be fair to him. Ortiz was actually celebrating like the fight was over. In the 7th round, Ortiz won the round once again. He was just on another level to Kaufman. It was easy work for Ortiz. In the 8th round, Kaufman went down again. He did once again get up, but another 10-8 round. A left hook put him down there from Ortiz. In the 9th round, again, it was another Ortiz round. He won every round, by the way. He was too classy for Kaufman. He was showing glimpses of pure quality now and then in the fight. I mean, Ortiz can pull off some real moves. He really can. Very nice looking moves. And then in the 10th round and the final round, Kaufman was down for the 3rd time. None of the knockdowns actually seemed to hurt him too badly, but the scorecards I felt were going to be very wide. I mean, mine, I was getting ready to type 100 to 87. I couldn't see how anyone could have had it any different. And then just as I typed that out, Ortiz then hits Kaufman with a 6 or 7 shot combination, and all shots were unanswered, and he finally closed the show, and the referee jumped in, and Kaufman seconds later didn't really look that hurt again. He just simply couldn't defend himself. So a shame for Kaufman. I think he showed quite a good chin, actually. He was 1 minute away from surviving the distance, so gutted for him. But yeah, it wasn't a good display from Ortiz. It wasn't a good display from Kaufman. He's come out saying that he wants to fight the winner of, I think he said he wants to fight the winner of White and Chisora or something like that, or at least he wants to fight one of them. I think he's not really in a position to ask for those fights off the back of that performance, but we see stranger things happen in the heavyweight division. Luis Ortiz now 30-1. Yeah, I want that Joe Joyce fight next. We mentioned that. Moving up the bill once again, we saw Jarrett Hurd 22-0 put his IBF, IBO and WBA Super World titles on the line against our very own Jason Wellborn, 24-6 going in, now 24-7. A KO in the fourth round. Wellborn was down and out from that body shot. Let's talk about it though. The first round, credit to Wellborn. I mean, he came out, he was straight on the front foot. Hurd was kind of sticking to his boxing. He wasn't really mixing it up too much. He was throwing singular shots. He seemed like he was having a good look at Wellborn, but Wellborn was pushing him back, and he actually landed a few nice shots. And I can't believe I'm saying this, but it was a Wellborn round in the first round. I really felt like Hurd let him win it though. It was so weird. Hurd just seemed to not really do much. And in the second round, Wellborn didn't have a bad round at all. Wellborn hit Hurd with about 5 clean right hands, but obviously, he's not a puncher, so they were scoring shots, but they weren't really hurting the guy. I was so surprised with the performance from him, and like I say, in the third round, massive credit once again to Wellborn. He seriously did come to fight, and he didn't let the occasion get to him. He didn't freeze. I gave him the third round as well. I can't believe how competitive it actually was after 3 rounds. I mean, there was an argument to give him all 3, but I think it was probably 2-1. And then in the fourth and final round, I mean, once again, Wellborn was having an excellent round. I would even go as far to say it looked like he hurt Jarrett Hurd for a while. He had Hurd in trouble, and Hurd decided to hit Jason Wellborn with 2 low blows, but the referee didn't call them. And then a few seconds after those low blows, Wellborn got hit with a right hand to the body and he went down. And it looked like he could have got up, but he didn't. I mean, he got back up at 10. He didn't look like he was too sad about being counted out. Fair play to Wellborn. Unbelievable from him. And it wasn't even at his weight. I mean, he went down in weight for that fight. So all credit to him. I mean, it was a proper cherry-picked opponent from Jarrett Hurd. But I tell you what, I feel like his stock's kind of gone down a little bit there. He didn't look his invincible self. Jermall Charlo got in the ring afterwards and the pair exchanged words, and he looked very, very uncomfortable, actually, Jarrett Hurd. But I'd like to see him win that fight, because I don't think he's he's not really a loudmouth guy. He's quite a cool guy. He's very humble, and he's the only guy out of all the champions at 154 that's actually gone and chased the unification, and he's come through it. So for me, I remember before that fight, I actually said that Arislandi Lara is the main man at 154, and he beat Lara pretty easy for me. So all the very best to Jarrett Hurd. Hopefully the big fight happens with him and Charlo. And moving up to the main event here, I'm going to start with you here, Ayaz. Deontay Wilder 40-0. Could he knock every man out that he's faced? Well, it wasn't to be here. He did not manage to catch Tyson Fury with a punch that would keep him on the floor anyway. It was for the WBC World Heavyweight crown. Tyson Fury went into the bout 27-0, and unbelievably, both men emerge with their unbeaten records still intact. 2 minor blemishes, 1 each, but it was a draw. No one saw a draw coming at all.
Let me say one thing first of all at the start. Tyson Fury got robbed. Every Twitter post I've seen so far, Floyd Mayweather goes, this is a joke. They all had Tyson Fury win. The whole Twitter had Tyson Fury winning. From the start, Tyson Fury was outboxing him. With the jab, he kept hurting him. Deontay Wilder, all he kept doing was swinging and trying to land that right hand. From the first round, you can see that Deontay Wilder was trying to land that right hand, and Tyson Fury just kept jabbing and boxing him. Every time that Deontay Wilder tried to swing, Tyson Fury would duck it. Obviously, Fury was boxing very, very well. Fury, you can see Fury was hurting Wilder as well. At the time, as the rounds went on, Fury was still outboxing him. Wilder dropped Fury, and Fury still got back up and still made it to the round. That was the round 9. And round 10, I gave it to Fury. Fury was still outboxing him. Round 11, I gave it to Fury as well because he's still outboxing. Round 12 was the big one. Wilder landed that right hand and then left hook and dropped Fury. And I thought, that's it. I thought game over. This is Wilder's night. Wilder's done it. And I thought Wilder's knocked him. It's like Fury became like the Undertaker from the WWE and grows back up. You can see, my face was really shocked because I thought wow, how can you get up from that hook that Wilder did to him? Because you can see Wilder's done that punch at everyone, and he's wiped him cleaned out. But Fury said that because he's a fighting man, he would never back down. He will always get back up. Once Fury got back up, he regained his shape and still was boxing him. But I gotta say, Fury got robbed big time, and I think what he's come from the depression, and he said almost committing suicide and killing himself. I applaud him, and I think he boxed very, very well, and I think he should have had that WBC heavyweight belt around him. Like Lennox Lewis said, when he went to America and he fought, he got robbed. Even he had Fury winning the fight. I had Fury winning the fight. That judge, I don't know what fight they're watching where they go 5 rounds to Wilder, 115, 111. I don't know what they're watching. Even I was watching even Paulie Malignaggi's when they in the Showtime commentary said, what was that judge watching? He's like, I don't think they should be watching. I think they should be reviewing this case. Because let me tell you one thing. Fury won that fight. Fury got robbed hardcore. And I think if the rematch, I think Frank Warren should push for that fight. And I think that if Frank Warren delivers and brings it in, I reckon Fury will win that fight easily by a comfortable points win.
Yeah, I mean, a few things that you said that I want to pick up on, Ayaz. Now, firstly, Paulie Malignaggi, I mean, credit to him. He always tells it how it is, and all the people that don't like him, I understand he's not everyone's cup of tea, but, I mean, he really does tell it how it is, and he says things that others are frightened to say. So credit to him. I'm very proud that he stood up and said what he saw. He said it how it is, and he always does that consistently. You say a robbery there, Ayaz, and when it comes down to it, we know that no close fight can be called a robbery, but this wasn't a close fight. This was a complete robbery. I agree 100%. I don't like to use the robbery word too easily, but this was a complete robbery. I mean, my scorecard was 115-111 in favour of Fury. I mean, that is the exact same scorecard that the dodgy judge gave in the opposite direction to Wilder, which is absolutely shocking. Let me just quickly go through the fight from what I saw. I mean, the first round was a close round. I don't think no one really overcommitted at all. I think Fury snatched the round due to the last little exchange which he got in. They kind of both exchanged, and I think Fury landed the cleaner shots. It was towards the very last few seconds. Now, in the second round, it was another close round, but I think Fury nicked it on his earlier work in the round when he was actually doubling and tripling up the jab. I mean, Wilder got through with 1 or 2 right hands, but nothing telling at all. In the third round, I felt that Wilder started well and was very active. I mean, he'd certainly upped the pace, but Fury came alive down the stretch of the round, and Fury did a lovely move where he spun Wilder on the ropes, and he avoided, I think it was 3 punches. He avoided 3 punches, and he came back with a nice 1-2 of his own. It was absolutely perfect. It really was. Another Fury round for me, so I had it 3-0. In the fourth round, it was a very, very close round. I think that Fury got a bloodied nose in that round, and I actually gave that one to Wilder. I think that he possibly did enough just to nick it, but it was very close, and Barry Jones disagreed. He actually gave it to Fury. But, a lot of people had it 4-0 in favour of Fury. Of course, one judge, which was the dodgy Mexican judge, he actually had it 4-0 in favour of Wilder, which is just so unexplainable. But I actually had it 3-1. Wilder seemed to me like he was getting closer with his shots, but he was certainly missing wildly at times as well. In the fifth round, again, it was another Fury round for me, a very close round though until the last minute of the 3 minutes. I think Fury repeatedly just kept stealing rounds literally by a 2 or 3 shot combination. It was so close, that round there, but it was worrying because you'd think that close rounds would probably go Wilder's way, which obviously on one judge's scorecard they did. But for me, I actually had it 4-1, and I wasn't being biased. I was really seeing this, as straight as I could. In the sixth round, it was another Fury round, a very, very clear round for Fury. Not really putting a dent in Wilder, though. I was very surprised that Wilder hadn't really let his right hand go. He seemed very gun-shy. He seemed like he didn't want to overcommit and get caught. And we thought that he would probably throw more right hands than Klitschko. But after 5 rounds, I think it was probably about the same. So I had it 5-1 to Fury. In the 7th round, I think that Fury won the round amazingly. I mean, Deontay Wilder was missing badly. I had Fury 6-1 up after 7 rounds. Wilder needed to win every round at that point just to earn a draw, if there were going to be no knockdowns, of course. I expected closer scores, probably from the judges. I've written that here, but no matter what happens from here, I've written that after 7 rounds, no matter what happens from here, what a performance from Fury. Now, in the 8th round, it was another Fury round, and that was the clearest round of the fight for me. I mean, Fury absolutely schooled Wilder in that round. It was actually embarrassing for the champion, and I was asking myself, can Fury's fitness keep up with him in the later stage? He cannot afford to lose concentration for 1 second, and Fury did take a right hand in the last few seconds of that 8th round, but I just couldn't believe that he'd fought the whole fight in orthodox, because I thought that he'd try and box in southpaw, because obviously Ortiz gave Wilder a lot of problems, and Tyson Fury's like a lot taller than Ortiz, so I thought that could have been very, very interesting, but he didn't really stay in southpaw at all. I mean, he was in orthodox for pretty much the whole fight, aside from a few seconds here and there where he'd switch it up. In the 9th round, down went Fury. I was very worried by the way he dropped. I didn't think he was going to get back up, because I know what Wilder's power's like, and the way he went down, it kind of seemed like it was a little bit of a delayed reaction. Fury didn't really seem to go down from a hard shot, but obviously on the replay, I think it was a temple shot. I think it was a short left hook followed by a right hand to the temple, so obviously a 10-8 round. But yeah, it looked like a little bit of a delayed reaction, but he did get back up and he responded fine. Now in the 10th round, it was another Fury round, and you said this, Ayaz, he came out in the 10th round after being dropped, and he fought excellently. Wilder possibly was tiring at that stage. Wilder was missing a lot, and obviously he tried to finish off Fury from the round before that. Fury was making him pay when he was missing as well, and I just did not want Fury to get too overconfident. I was hoping that Wilder didn't get a second wind, and of course Tyson Fury needed to stay focused. Going into the 11th round, a closer round, I felt both men were tiring, but I was blown away that Fury's managed to stay that switched on, and he somehow looked the fresher of the two in that 11th round with 1 round to go. I mean, for me it wasn't even close on the cards. And I've written here, don't get reckless, Fury, please God. And it was a 10-9 round for Fury in the 11th round. Then obviously in the 12th round, all he needed to do was stay on his feet, and he would have won the round, and of course won the fight in the end. That 12th round knockdown cost him the fight. I mean, he got dropped and it looked like he was out cold. I mean, there was no play acting there. I think the earlier knockdown, there was a little bit of play acting. This was no play acting. It was a huge shot from Wilder. I could not believe that Fury got back up, and unbelievably, Wilder seemed to punch himself out. And then Fury, when he got back up, he was on the front foot straight away. He was putting his arms behind his back. He was showboating, and he was really kind of trying to finish Wilder off, and he had some fantastic moments himself. So I cannot believe it. I take back everything I say about Tyson Fury's chin. I mean, let's be honest. He got put down from the biggest puncher in heavyweight champion history, and he got back up both times. And people say that he didn't have a chin, including myself. I thought that Wilder was going to knock him out. That was my prediction. Wilder's going to win by stoppage. It wasn't to be, but let's be honest. I mean, Fury did so well to avoid all those right hands all night. He only got caught with 2 of them, and both the ones that he got caught with, I think he was pretty much riding them. So, he took the full force off of the punch, but he still took a bit, and they still put him down. It makes it very interesting because obviously Joshua cannot move like Tyson Fury, so it makes me think that unless Joshua lands on Wilder first, then I think Wilder's got a big chance of knocking Joshua out. I mean, firstly, when it went to the decision, it was wrongly announced as a split decision, which made it very confusing, because usually they would say one judge's scorecard, then another judge's scorecard, and then the final one, they'd then say, right, they'd read out the final judge's scorecard, followed by saying it's a split draw. But they actually said it's a split decision. And then I thought, what? So that means one judge has given it to each fighter, and then there's a deciding judge to go with one of the fighters. But it wasn't done like that. I think they read it out wrong. But, 115, 111 in favour of Wilder, that was absolutely criminal. I mean, like I say, it was a robbery because I had it the other way around. I had it 115, 111 to Tyson. And if I'd have given Deontay one more round, because I think I gave him one round outside of the 2 knockdown rounds. If I'd have given him one more round, and that was all you could do, there's no way you could have given him 3 rounds outside of the knockdown rounds. But he needed to get 3 rounds outside of the knockdown rounds to get a draw. So 4 rounds would have been him winning the fight. And this judge actually, I think, gave him, was it like 7 rounds to 5? It was absolutely criminal. What I will say, I credit the American boxers out there that were so honest and went straight on Twitter to say it was a robbery. And I've written it down here. This is the following list of names that I've compiled that had the fight scored to Fury. Now, please take note about how many Americans we've got here. Firstly, I may as well read out the very shorter list and say the fighters that I spoke to, or not necessarily fighters, but people that are involved in the boxing world, trainers, managers, whatever, that are involved in boxing. 3 people I counted gave the fight to Wilder. Those people, Clarissa Shields, as much as I love her, she was so far off the pace with her scorecard. George Foreman actually scored it to Wilder. I was very shocked about that. And then Sergei Lipinets, a PBC fighter who actually picked Wilder to win before the fight. But here's a list of the people that scored it in favour of Tyson Fury. Andre Ward, Lennox Lewis, James Toney, Shakur Stevenson, Billy Dibb, Tom Loeffler, Caleb Truax, Gamal Yafai, Mel Herring, Isaac Chamberlain, Thomas Williams Jr., Terence Crawford's trainer, Leon McKenzie, Paulie Malignaggi, Frank Bruno, Dave Caldwell, Zachary Ochoa, Eddie Chambers, Anthony Sims Jr., Tony Jeffries, Brian Rose, Sullivan Barrera, Carlos Takam, Carl Froch, Matthew Macklin, Michael Hunter, Hassan Rahman Jr., Gabriel Rosado, Devin Alexander, Regis Prograis, Jerry Cooney, Joseph Parker, and Jay Leon Love, and also Darren Barker. I mean, all these people cannot be wrong. They're all former fighters, and to be honest, most of the names that I've reeled off there are world champions, so they know the game properly, and there was no bias in that. Like I say, many of the people I've mentioned there are American, and they thought that Wilder was going to win. They were actually favouring Wilder. They wanted Wilder to win, but no, they could not make a case for him. It's shocking, Ayaz, what they've done here. I mean, I just couldn't believe it. I laid in bed after the fight and I couldn't sleep. I was just sat there absolutely gutted for Fury. And to be honest, he took it on the chin and he shouldn't need to. And it just makes me sick because he's been robbed there. And I don't know what's going to happen. Obviously, the rematch clause in the contract, it was all very confidential. We were told that there could be a 2-way rematch clause, which pretty much means that, if Fury loses, then he can make a choice whether they're going to have a rematch or not, and vice versa. Obviously, Fury didn't get the decision, so I'm not quite sure what that means, because no one effectively lost the fight. So can a rematch clause be exercised? I'm not quite sure on that. Like I say, they were very tight-lipped about how they did it. But, should the fight happen again? I think it kind of has to. A lot of people are giving Tyson Fury so much credit here, and for me, I don't know how you see it, but for me, Tyson Fury is the number 1 heavyweight in the world, and that's putting Joshua aside. I think that Wilder's got that unorthodox style where he doesn't really show you respect, and he will just throw a haymaker, and it sounds crazy for a world champion to not really have much technique, but he's so kind of weird with his style, but it works for him. It works tremendously. But for me, I think that, and I said it before, Tyson Fury would struggle more with Wilder than he would Joshua. And I think some people probably don't agree with that. But for me, I think on that performance there, which I cannot believe he managed to pull it out of the bag. I doubted him so much. I think he beats Joshua with ease.
Yes, I agree with you there. I still think Tyson Fury is the number 1 heavyweight. I think he soon is going to reclaim his position of getting his belts back, and I think he will soon. I think he is the number 1 thing. I truly believe he should have won the belt, but I think he's going to get a belt in the future. One thing I like to see. I personally, if the Joshua fight or Wilder fight don't happen, if I was Tyson Fury, I'll go for the Emanuel Charlo belt.
Yeah, that's an option, to be honest. I didn't really think about that, but I care so much about Fury that I almost want him to take an easy touch after that, because I'm like, man, that was too early for you to take on Wilder like that. He wasn't even 100%, and he managed to do that. I mean, I just can't fathom what he's done there. I mean, I doubted him so much going into the Klitschko fight. I didn't think he had it in him, and he pulled it off. And then I doubted him so much. I didn't think he had it in him to stay away from those right-hand bombs that 39 other people couldn't stay away from. I didn't think he could do it, and he did it. And I almost can't believe he can do it again. Like, I'm thinking, if they have a rematch, can I really side with Fury to stay away again? Like, really? Like, he just keeps amazing me every single time I see him in the ring against a big challenge. He just amazes me. But for me, he's proved himself there. He's the number one heavyweight in the world. I sent a tweet out to the Ring magazine asking that they should reinstate him as the champion. Now he's back active. That was a fight there where, two of the best fighters in the heavyweight division got it on. And Tyson Fury didn't lose, so he should be reinstated, in my opinion. That would be a great thing for them to do. A few other people, I think, saw my tweet and then started tweeting the same thing to Ring Magazine. Don't worry, I see you. And yeah, I think that they should give him back his belt, to be honest, but I don't think they're going to do that. I feel gutted for him, because after all what he's gone through, man, like, he's gone through all of that for some BS judging. And now, what does he do? Like, we'll go and do the whole thing again. And hopefully next time the judging will be better. They're not going to come to the UK. I don't think they want to come to the UK. They're not going to come to the UK. And, if Tyson Fury fights like that again, unfortunately, even though it was absolutely punch perfect, it wasn't good enough because of that stupid judge. And even the English judge that had it a draw, I mean, what was he watching as well? Jesus Christ. I mean, I don't know what to say. Like, I'm completely dumbfounded by it. I think it's bizarre. It's horrible. And to think what that man's gone through, not just physically but mentally, to prepare himself, and it's all been for nothing. I mean, he got a heap of money, and that's that. But like, he's got no status off it now. Like, he's shown once again that he's the man. So for me, he is the number one heavyweight in the world. I wasn't too sure because he put all that weight on. When he beat Klitschko, he was unquestionably number one, above Joshua, no problem. Then Joshua started picking up all his belts, and, a little bit of me thought, it's a bit of a 50-50 fight, that one now. And like I say, I didn't even think he'd beat Wilder. And he absolutely played with Wilder. And I don't know what he does from here, unfortunately. I think Wilder, he probably won't want to fight him again, because if he doesn't land that punch, then he's not winning the fight. It's as simple as that. He must know that. I mean, he knows he lost the fight. If he doesn't land the punch, he's not winning on points. And he didn't land the punch in this fight. He just got absolutely gifted a draw. And Fury, being in better shape than what he was, he's probably going to not get hit with two big right hands and then get dropped. So for me, I think Wilder needs to not think about that. And a little bit of me wants, because I do really like Fury, I want to see him take a bit of an easy ride. And for me, he's already proved himself as number one. He's number one again, even though he's not really in the best shape. I mean, he's done fantastic to get in the shape he's in, but he's not in the best shape as it is. And a few more fights, or, a few more weeks in training camp, I think a bit more time with Ben Davison, it'll all gel together even more. And I think he'll be an absolute force. So I just want him to take a seat, a little back seat. I don't want him to obviously put pounds on again and all stuff like that. He needs to keep training, but give him an easy fight. Let Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua fight each other. Then the winner fights him. Let them guys go and put miles on their clocks. He shouldn't have to do it again. Give him an easy give him the Emanuel Charlo fight. Give him that. Give him something to just keep him busy. Let them lot fight each other. Because that's apparently the fight that Wilder wants, Let those guys fight each other and let Fury fight the winner. That's what I say. What do you think, Ayaz? What would you like to do? I mean, obviously we've got Anthony Joshua without an opponent. We've got a fight date set for him in April. It's looking like he's going to be taking on the winner of White and Chisora. After that fight the other night, I've got no interest in him taking on, Dillian White's supposed to win that fight. So I've got no interest in seeing him rematch Dillian White. I think some casual boxing fans, they don't even understand that Joshua's already fought Dillian White. They have only found out about who Joshua is since he become world champion. They don't even know that the fight would be a rematch. So I've already seen that. Now, if Chisora wins, I do not want to see Chisora and Joshua. Forget that. That's not even a pay-per-view fight. Forget that. That would just be a punch bag versus an Adonis. I don't want to see it. So what do you think should happen next? Should we see Tyson Fury rematch Deontay Wilder? Who should Joshua fight in April? Should Wilder try and take that fight? And then the winner fights Fury? How do these three mix up? How would you like it?
I personally don't think Wilder's going to take the Fury fight next. I read Eddie Hearn said there's a surprise in the bag. There could be another person. They said Dillian White's a front runner. They're going to try and negotiate with Deontay Wilder, but there's another person in the running as well, but they don't know. They said it's a surprise. So I still think Joshua's going to fight. I think Joshua's going to fight Dillian if he wins his next fight. Wilder, I think, is going to take just a normal, like a defense. And for me, Fury, I think he should fight. I think he should just fight Emanuel Charlo to win that belt.
Yeah, but then let's say that, Joshua, I'd pick to beat Dillian White again because we've already seen him knock out Dillian White before. Deontay Wilder, you said he's going to fight someone who, we don't really class as a big threat to him. It's going to be another guy in the top 15 of the WBC rankings, and then Fury's going to kind of go elsewhere and do his thing. But eventually, they do need to collide. Like, what I'm basically saying is, like, forget about what you think is going to happen, but what would you do if it was completely up to you? Would you throw Wilder in with Joshua in April, or would you throw him at gone?
I'll put Wilder in the street. Immediate rematch in the Fury fight, because I think Fury. Remember this is Fury's third fight, and if Fury had one more fight, I think Fury should fight take the Wilder rematch and go for the Wilder rematch again. Now, I think this time Fury will outbox him. I think Fury will beat him this time easily. If it was in England.
Yeah, that's the only problem. I mean, for me, I think the Joshua is obviously the money fight for both men, but I think if Fury fights Joshua next, I think he beats Joshua easier than he does Wilder, and I think he makes more money doing it. But yeah, Wilder, if I was actually Wilder, I'd probably think, do you know what? I can't risk getting beat again by Fury. I'm not going to get two dodgy scorecards. Bloody hell, Canelo's been there, hasn't he? But I don't think it's going to happen again after the outcry that we've seen here on a worldwide scale about this. Even the Americans saying it was crazy. I mean, this was just mad. So yeah, I just want Tyson Fury to get another fight under his belt, so he's even better prepared for anything that comes his way, whether it's a Wilder rematch or a Joshua fight. And I'd actually love to see Wilder step in to take on Joshua in April, which is what Eddie Hearn originally said. He wanted Wilder for April. I hope that happens. I would love that to happen. I don't think it will, by the way. But whoever he fights, if it's not one of those guys there, I'm not even interested in it. If he ends up taking on Dillian White again or Derek Chisora, I'm not even interested. I mean, that fight is nowhere near the same kind of level as what we saw the other night. For me, Fury's number one. Number two in the heavyweight division, it's a toss-up between Joshua and Wilder. I'd like to see those guys fight each other for the right to fight the lineal and real heavyweight champion. The real boxing fans know. So I'd like to see those guys battle it out, and then the winner takes on Fury. In third and fourth place and fifth and sixth, it's all these guys on the same kind of level, like your Joseph Parkers, like your Povetkins, like your Pulevs, like your Dillian Whites. Those guys I think are all kind of like your Big Baby Miller. Those guys are all like third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh. I'd like to see those guys fight each other. But yeah, it is what it is. For me, Fury got robbed once again, but he did mental health so fantastically. He really has raised so much awareness around the world. And everyone needs to vote for him to win the BBC Sports Personality of the Year. Please get onto that. That's so important. Everyone's vote counts. And finally, just a good word on Ben Davison, a young man that stepped into a role that many people didn't think he could, he could do. I mean, he filled the shoes of Peter Fury, and he did it very, very well. He brought some fantastic experienced guys in the corner as well, but he did a phenomenal job, so I take my hat off to him. But that's really it for the review part of the show. We've really gone through lots and lots there, but like I say, a lot needed to be said. But that's really it. Like I say, just before we wrap up part one, the last thing to do is to welcome guest number one. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the former two-time middleweight world title challenger. It is, of course, Mr. Willie Monroe Jr. Willie, welcome to the show.
Hey, how you doing, man?
Hey, very good, my friend, very good. So, Willie, first things first, obviously, you've been a professional now for just over 10 years. It's been quite a while, but before that, you were an excellent amateur. I mean, your amateur record, unless I'm mistaken, was something like 128-14. I mean, that's sensational. What was your highlight, you'd say, in the amateurs, Willie?
I won 3 national titles. We came very close to making an 08 Olympic team. I lost in the qualifiers to Sean Porter, who ended up becoming the 2008 Olympic alternate. So, I mean, that was pretty big. You know, we won Empire State Games twice. We won 4-time Golden Glove champion. We won a lot of stuff. You know, I've been doing it since I was 6. So we're able to accomplish a lot and pick up a good pedigree, and have a lot of fights as an amateur, which suited me well as a professional.
Yeah, for sure. Now, you mentioned there about Sean Porter. Did you fight any other guys that are making noise now in the pros? You fought them in the amateurs?
A lot of those guys, I fought them when we were like kids, you know what I mean? But Sean Porter, Dominic Wade, I never fought Demetrius Andrade, but his big brother, who was a very talented middleweight, I fought him twice. Me and Boo Boo won a couple national teams together. Me and Danny Jacobs were in the same. Me and Danny Jacobs never fought, but we were on a couple national teams together. So was Rashid Warren. All of those guys that were in that 08 class, I either fought some of them or were on national teams with them.
Excellent, man, excellent. And I know that you've sparred some top guys over the years. I know that you've been in there with the likes of Marta Roja, Miguel Cotto, Austin Trout, Andre Berto. Have I missed any other guys out?
Randall Bailey, Demetrius Andrade, me and him, I helped him out in a couple camps. He's helped me in a couple camps.
Smith as well.
He hasn't left anybody out. Ishe Smith, Ishe Smith helps him. Usually everybody that's getting ready for Laura, they call me.
Now, obviously, I want to go back in time a little bit to that Golovkin fight. You took him on in May 2015, Willie. Now, you gave him a lot to think about. I mean, it was a very competitive fight while it lasted. What do you remember from that fight? Because a lot of people kind of found out who you were on a global stage after that. A lot of people in the UK, they really took to you after that fight.
I just found out that I could stand and bang with the best. I was 19-1, so I only had 20 professional fights when I took that fight. But, I also understand that in this business, and up until now that I'm signed with Al Heyman, I never had a big push or money or the right promoter or the right management behind me. There's always some screwy stuff. So, I understood that in this boxing business, you need somebody like an Al Heyman behind you to help you excel, because no matter how talented you are, how good you are, how hard you work, if they're not making the right moves on the business, and it could be to your demise. And I just learned that it was just a couple of different turns I had to take, but at the same time, I'm a firm believer in God, and I believe that God makes no mistakes, and that's what led me to where I am now, and I'm just blessed.
And then, of course, your next world title attempt was in London. I was ringside for that fight when you fought Billy Joe Saunders. I remember being pretty disgusted with some of Billy's, his antics in the build-up to the fight. It was sad to not actually see you come out victorious, if I'm being completely honest. How good is Billy Joe, Willie? Were you surprised by anything on the night from him?
I wasn't surprised by anything by him. It wasn't, it was more one of those things, like I just said, the business and the moment and how it took place rather than the fighter, you know what I mean? Like Golovkin, that was a hard fight. Billy Joe Saunders wasn't a tough fight, but just everything that was going on. And I don't know if you remember around round 5, a girl and her boyfriend got beat up ringside. And that they were right in front of my brother. And the girl was from my hometown. And for a couple rounds, I kept asking my coach in the corner, is my brother okay? Because I thought they had jumped on my brother. And, it just took my mind out of the fight, man, because I don't care about a fight or what happens in a fight. That's my little brother. And it was just a real nasty event. And if you watch the fight around round 9 or round 10, I started picking up and really fighting, because I started hearing my brother scream from the other side of the ring. So then I knew my brother was okay. Well, the thing that was on my mind mostly was whether my team and my brother were okay, because it was only 8 of us over there. And there was fights going on in the crowd. They jumped on, some people that I knew. And I was more worried about what was going on outside the ring and rather than what was going on inside of the ring. It was a lot plaguing my mind. And I don't make any excuses, but that's just a fact. But, Billy Joe Saunders and his team and Frank Warren, they are who they are. And they understood that Willie Monroe is somebody that we can't just beat on a fair level. So we got to, really shake this dude up and make things really, really uncomfortable so we can have a chance of winning. And they did that. But then again, God makes no mistakes, because had I won that fight, I would be WBO middleweight champion, but I would still be stuck with the promoter I was with, and I was in a bad contract, But that fight allowed me to become a free agent. A few months later, I signed with Al Heyman. I fought twice, and here I am in a big fight. So sometimes God's rejection is God's protection at the same time.
I like that little saying there. But yeah, some of the stuff that went on outside of the ring, mainly surrounding that event before and during, as you mentioned, it was quite horrific, to be honest. I was deeply embarrassed, if I'm being honest. I know that you've not had things easy. You mentioned there you were stuck in a bad contract. You were quite inactive for a period. You had a baby on the way, and you had a date for the baby to be due, but no fight date. And like you say, it was just before the Saunders fight. Some people don't really understand the struggles of what it's like to be a boxer sometimes. Are things much better now? It seems like they are, and I'm happy to hear that.
Yes, I'm blessed. I've been obedient, and I've just been trying my best to just be a good person, because boxing is what I do. It's not who I am. There's going to come a point where boxing is over, and I still just have to remain a good person. And God has blessed me through all of this. It's a tough sport, and it's not that people don't know. They also just don't care to know, because people want to stand on their own beliefs. So I haven't even tried to really. I'm just happy. I'm in a happy position. I don't have to work a job right now. Thanks to Al Heyman. I got a 9-week notice on this fight, and then Team Heyman also sent me money to prepare for this camp. These other fights I was preparing for, I was like the Gabriel Zotto fight. I was almost back to working a full-time job when I took that fight, and I took that fight on a 3.5-week notice. So I went into a championship fight. We fought for the WBO Intercontinental. It was 12 rounds. It was on pay-per-view in front of 52,000 people, and I got a 26-day notice, and I went in there and did great, and won the fight, But when you look at the fact that I'm with Al right now, I got a 9-week notice on this fight. I don't have to work a job, and Al sent me camp money to prepare, and I've been able to pull in some good sparring. Like, we've been sparring with 6'4" cruiserweight to better prepare myself for this fight. And, I think you're just going to see a different Willie Monroe. I've had time to just really prepare for Jermall Charlo rather than other things. I've even, moved into a separate apartment for the last 5 weeks leading into this fight, and been able to just focus, going on to the gym and back, not going to the gym and then coming back home, taking care of a family, being dad, being husband, having to work a part-time under-the-table job to keep a little money in my pocket. I've been able to focus strictly on fighting Jermall Charlo, and you're just going to see a different fighter this time.
Excellent, man. I'm very pleased to hear that. And like I say, getting on to what's going on now, you've bounced back from the Billy Joe fight with 2 back-to-back wins, one in March, one in August. Both of those fights went the distance, but you've shut out your opponent on 5 of the 6 total scorecards, and now you step in against Jermall Charlo on December 22nd in New York. How do you rate Charlo amongst the likes of, of the guys that you've faced in the past, like Golovkin, like Billy Joe? Where does he rate?
He's a good fighter. He's tall, he's rangy, he's got boxing ability. Obviously, he's strong. He's he's an awesome athletic fighter, and he's WBC champion for a reason. It's not like, they just gave him the belt. He worked his way there, but he's going to be in there with a totally different monster come December 22nd.
A lot of people kind of rate him really highly at middleweight, despite not really fighting anyone fantastic just yet at middleweight. I think you're going to be his first proper test. Do you think people are kind of jumping the gun a little bit too soon with him at 160?
Well, that's up to me to show that on December 22nd. If he can beat me, then maybe they're not jumping the gun. If I win, then maybe once I win, I should say, maybe he needs to recalibrate and really try to reassert himself at middleweight. But we'll find all of that out December 22nd.
And coming down to the last couple questions now, Willie, I wanted to get your reaction to Deontay Wilder and Fury on the weekend. I'm guessing you must have watched it. Who hasn't? What was your reaction?
I think the draw was right because, but I'll tell you this. I have major respect for Tyson Fury because any other heavyweight, any other human heavyweight who King Kong wouldn't have got. And I'm not talking about Luis Ortiz. I'm talking about King Kong, the actual King Kong, wouldn't have got up from that right hand. And Tyson Fury, he willed himself and got up. He's definitely a different monster, and he showed that he has. I mean, to be as big as he is, and to be as athletic as he is, and to have fast hands and good defense. You know what I mean? Like he showed. I mean, he showed a lot of that in the Klitschko fight, but this fight showed why he's an awesome heavyweight. And this fight also showed me that Deontay Wilder can find a way to overcome and get back to it. His right hand is from another universe. And I personally think a rematch should definitely happen, because now that they know each other a little better, Deontay Wilder can go back. He can work on putting his punches together better. He could work on using more than just his right hand. He knows where he falls short at, and he knows where his strong points are. And we'll see if he can come back and deal with the defense and the slick and the trickiness of the Gypsy King. But I just think, personally, I think they're the two best heavyweights next to Anthony Joshua. I think Anthony Joshua is a freaking awesome heavyweight also. But, man, it's just exciting. The heavyweight division is back exciting because of Deontay Wilder, because of the Gypsy King, because of Deontay Wilder, Anthony Joshua, Big Baby. I mean, the heavyweight division is just coming back. I just can't wait to see more fights.
I second that. I agree 100%. And I've got two questions left, so I'm going to kind of merge them together. It's a bit of a tradition that we do. Everyone that we speak to during the month of December, we like to ask what's on their Christmas wish list in terms of what can they do, for 2019. So I want to ask you, in a realistic world, what can you do? What do you wish for that can happen in your career in 2019? And just before we let you go, also, to merge this in as well, do you have any kind of closing final words for our listeners just before we let you go?
Yes, I can answer both of those questions. 2019, I'm just going to take everything that I put together, and especially with this win that I'm going to get on the 22nd, I'm just going to couple that all together and hit the ground running. You know what I mean? I'm blessed. In 2019, I just more or less wish to, after I win this title, to just establish myself. I want to bring one big fight back home to my hometown of Rochester. And I just want to, I'm spearheading this new PBC leg, and I want to be able to be that face of the new PBC on Fox, and that's my goal for 2019, and that's what's going to happen. And to the listeners, thank you for following Willie Monroe, and thank you for following my career, because it's been a real roller coaster ride. It's been an up and down ride. It's been a long time coming. And for the real ones who stuck in there, and I fight for the ones, who really know what it's like to fight, not giving anything. I fight for the people who everything has been taken from them, and they still find a way to get back up and fight. And thank you for following Willie Monroe Jr.
Very well said. You are a credit to the sport, Willie, and I'd like to thank you for your time this week. I'd like to wish you the very best for the 22nd, and I'd like to end this interview by saying, of course, there's an old saying, third time lucky, and God willing, your third world title challenge will be a successful one, sir. Speak soon.
Awesome. Thank you, man. Third time to shine. God bless you, bro.
Okay, now it's part 2 on this week's show. This part, of course, the news part of the show. Ayaz, what have you got for us?
So, Katie Taylor would defend her world titles against Eva Wallstrom at Madison Square Garden on the Canelo Alvarez versus Rocky Fielding undercard.
Yeah, brilliant platform for her to defend her world titles on. I mean, it's been announced on the 4th of December, so only 11 days out from the actual fight night. So, it's not really ideal. I'm guessing her opponent hasn't had enough time to prepare, and it's a bit unfortunate because her opponent's taking on arguably the best pound-for-pound fighter in women's boxing. So I feel sorry for the opponent, but I don't know. I feel like they kind of throw Katie Taylor on a card here and there to just put the cherry on the cake, but it's a cherry that not everyone really wants. It is what it is. It's a brilliant platform for her. I'm pleased for her, but I'm not necessarily loving that, we're going to see that fight. I'm sure it's going to get a nice slot on the TV when I'd rather probably see a different fight with someone that's actually had proper notice for a fight. It doesn't have to be a world title fight, but, it'd be a more competitive fight if you like. But, yeah, I can't tell Eddie Hearn what to do.
And finally, David Price has been added to the Dillian White versus Derek Chisora undercard.
Yeah, he takes on Tom Little. Obviously, we haven't seen Tom Little, or I haven't seen Tom Little since he lost to Daniel Dubois. The thing about Tom Little is he comes and gives it a go, and he really shows up to fight. He's not really scared of anything, so he will turn up and try and put it on David Price. And to be honest, that's the worst style for David Price. Tom Little's extremely confident, and it's a fight where you can't really count him out of because David Price has regressed so much, or perhaps was never as good as what we thought. But Tom Little's going to come and give it a go, and I think that could end up being a shootout. That could end up being a good fight. So it's not going to go the distance. We know that either Price is going to tag him with a proper big shot, or Tom Little's going to overwhelm him and end up forcing a stoppage. So quite an interesting fight, but it's not really worthy of a pay-per-view undercard. I mean, both guys are not even British level. So, it's just mad, some of these fights that get chucked on the pay-per-views. Is that it for the news you mentioned, Ayaz, yeah?
Yes, that's it for the news.
Okay, thank you very much, Ayaz. Right, moving out now to Ireland. Let's start over here with the previewing. It's at the Royal Theatre in Castlebar. Friend of the show, Gary Spike O'Sullivan. His record 28-3. He's in an 8-round contest against Gabor Gorbix, a man that we've seen a few times over here. His record 26-13. All the very best to Spike. Moving out now to the Titanic Exhibition Centre in Belfast, Northern Ireland, United Kingdom. We've got Conrad Cummins 15-2 with 1 draw. Topping the bill against Brian Rose 30-5 with 1 draw. That one is for the vacant WBO European middleweight title. Conrad Cummins is an underdog in that fight. I'm absolutely stunned about that. Anyone that's listening to this, maybe have a little dabble on that one there. Moving out now to Croatia at the KC Drazen Petrovic in Zagreb. We have Filip Hrgovic, 6-0. He defends his WBC international heavyweight title against Talo Pereira, who is 11-3 with 2 draws. I think Pereira's mixed it with some decent level in his losses, but it's a good opponent actually at this stage of Hrgovic's career. Obviously, Hrgovic, the bronze medalist from the Olympics. Moving out now to the Mecca at the Regent Circus in Swindon, United Kingdom. 1 or 2 fights to mention over here. We've got Harlem Eubank 6-0. He takes on MJ Hall, who's 0-24 with 1 draw. Boy, oh boy. Moving out now to Sheffield in Yorkshire, United Kingdom. We didn't do the predictions on this, Ayaz, actually. So what I think I'm going to do is I'll put the polls out now, and then by the end of the show we'll think about it and we'll make our predictions at the very end of the show, and then hopefully the listeners have voted on theirs. So we'll stay tuned on the predictions if we manage to do it. Obviously we're a bit tapped for time this week, but let's start with the undercard here. We've got Kez Ashfaq 3-0. He's in a 6-rounder against Jay Carney, who's 5-3 with 2 draws. We also have Kid Galahad in a tick-over fight. Kid Galahad 25-0. He's in an 8-round contest against Brian Marina, who has a record of 10-4 with 1 draw. Galahad seems to get on every single Kell Brook undercard. Anthony Fowler 8-0. He's in a 10-rounder. His opponent yet to be announced. Josh Kelly, he was on last week's podcast. His record 8-0. He's in a 10-rounder against former world champion David Avanesian, who's also a friend of the show. 23-3 with 1 draw. That is a wicked fight, by the way. The way they're moving Josh Kelly, I mean, it's quite unbelievable. Some people say he cherry picks. They're absolutely mad. Moving up the bill once again, John O'Carroll 16-0 takes on Guillaume Frenoy, who's got a record of 46-1. Quite a padded record for me, Frenoy, but he has got some great wins. Like I say, John O'Carroll was on the show last week, so I absolutely hope he can win this fight, because the winner gets that golden ticket and gets the fight against Tevin Farmer for the IBF World title. That's a 12-rounder there. Kell Brook tops the bill 37-2. He takes on Michael Zarafa 25-2. Zarafa, in his 2 losses, they came to Arif Magomedov, who got stopped by Luis Arias, and he also lost by knockout to Peter Quillin back in 2015. Peter Quillin stopped him in the 5th round. So yeah, I mean, aside from that, you look at his wins, he's got some decent wins, but nothing that's going to tell me that he's going to be of any risk to Kell Brook. That should be an easy win for Kell Brook. Hopefully straight after the fight they announced that the Khan and Brook deal's done, but we're hearing lots and lots of rumours about Khan almost signing a £5 million guaranteed fight against Terence Crawford. I hope he doesn't take that fight. Yeah, that's it for that one there, really. Moving out now to the StubHub Center in Carson, California. Going through this as quick as possible. This one's going to be on HBO. I think it's HBO's final fight card on their channel before they pull out of boxing. But we have two women topping the bill, or I should say 4 women, because it's 2 fights including women. Topping the bill, we've got Cecilia Brackhouse, her record 34-0. She takes on Alexandra Lopez, who's got a record of 18-4 with 3 draws. This one is for Brackhouse's IBF, IBO, WBA, WBC and WBO World Female Welterweight titles. She, of course, is trained by Jonathan Banks, Vladimir Klitschko's former trainer. Brackhouse is one of the best women in boxing. A lot of people have her pound for pound number 1. What a fighter she is. And then also on the undercard, friend of the show and my duet partner, Clarissa Shields, 7-0. She puts her IBF, WBA and WBC World Female Middleweight titles on the line against Femke Hermans, who's got a record of 9-1. Both those fights I've mentioned there, 10-round contests, 10 2-minute rounds, of course. Moving out now to the Fantasy Springs Casino in Indio, California, USA. This one's a Golden Boy Promotions card. Friend of the show, Hector Tanahara, his record 15-0. He's in a 10-round contest against Robert Manzanares. Now his record is 36-2. That's a humongous, mammoth step up there for Hector Tanahara. It's a 10-round contest. I'm hoping he gets the job done, but this is a real fight that he's got on his hands here. This guy's mixed it with guys that have fought for world titles. I think he's lost his last fight, if I'm not mistaken, to Mercito Gesta, and I think he lost on a majority decision, and Gesta just fought Linares. So yeah, this guy's mixed it with people that's really mixed it at top level, and he's narrowly lost to them. So very hard fight there for Hector Tanahara, a prospect out of the Robert Garcia Boxing Academy. And now we're coming down to one of the final bills to mention. At the Bowie State University in Maryland, USA, we have a few friends of the show here. Michael Fox, 18-0. That's the brother of Alontes Fox. This guy, Michael Fox, I think he makes 140, and he's like 6'3". It's absolutely outrageous. He's in an 8-round contest. His opponent yet to be announced. Also, Hasim Rahman Jr., the son of the former heavyweight world champion Hasim Rahman. His record 6-0. He's in a 6-rounder against Kendrick Houston, who's 1-3 with 1 draw. Also, we have Lorenzo Simpson, a very good amateur standout. He's making his debut here in a 4-rounder. And we also have brother of my friend Michael Hunter, his younger brother. I think he's 26 years of age. He's a welterweight, undefeated, 8-0. Keith Hunter. He's in a 4-rounder. His opponent yet to be announced. And also the other brother of Hasim Rahman Jr., his other brother Sharif Rahman, 3-0. He's in a 4-rounder. His opponent yet to be announced. And then coming down to the final bill at Madison Square Garden Theatre in New York, USA, we have 2 fights to mention, really. We've got Isaac Dogboe, 20-0, friend of the show. He puts his WBO World Super-Bantamweight title on the line against Emanuel Navarrete, who's 25-1. That's a 12-rounder there, of course. Navarrete's only loss came in a 4-round fight. And it was really weird because his opponent didn't weigh in the day before. So he lost the fight on paper, but it was for some kind of small title, and they actually gave him the title because the guy didn't come to the weigh-in. It was really weird. But anyway, he lost in a 4-round fight, so that doesn't really mean too much. He's now fighting Isaac Dogboe, and I tell you what, Navarrete can bang. I think he's got about 20-something knockouts. I think it's 22 knockouts from 25 wins. And then obviously topping the bill, it's a unification. It's the WBA Super World Lightweight title and the WBO World Lightweight title. Pedraza stole the WBO title away from Raimundo Beltran last time out. He upset the odds there, and here he takes on Vasyl Lomachenko, 11-1. Pedraza obviously 25-1. The one loss came to Gervonta Davies. I tell you one thing, it's a good fight though, Ayaz. I mean, I'm certainly picking Lomachenko to win against Pedraza, but Pedraza's no slouch. Aside from that one fight where he didn't look great against Gervonta, and Gervonta looked like an absolute beast, he's a good fighter, Pedraza. We've seen him in there with Stephen Smith. We've seen him in there with Beltran. He's got some skills about him. It's not a walk in the park for Lomachenko. I really don't think so.
I disagree with you right there, Joey's sorry to say. But I think Lomachenko's on a different plan, and I think he's pound for pound starting. I think he's going to knock Pedraza out.
Okay, statement there. I mean, yeah, I think Lomachenko's on another planet, but I just think some people saying it's a complete mismatch. I think it's quite a decent fight. I think Pedraza's got some skills about him, but okay, I'll leave it there. But yeah, certainly a Lomachenko win for me. But like I say, we've really tried to whiz through everything as quick as possible. That is the end of the preview part of the show. We spent lots and lots of time ranting and raving about the review part. We brought you that. We brought you guest number one. We brought you the latest news. We brought you the preview part just there. And just before we wrap up the show and ultimately end things, we need to bring you the last final piece, the last little gem, and that is to bring you guest number 2. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the WBO Super-Bantamweight World Champion. It is, of course, Mr. Ayaz Dogboe. Isaac, welcome back on the show, my friend.
Never. Thank you, Joey. How are you?
It's my pleasure, my friend. Yeah, Neho right back at you, by the way. I'm very good, Isaac. So we last spoke back in September. It wasn't too long ago. I remember at the time I asked what you were doing for your birthday, and you didn't even know it was your birthday. So my first question, how was your birthday?
It was great, you know. I had a great fun, and my father surprised me with a brand new car. So I mean, life can only get better, you know. So I'm very thankful to God for giving me a new age, and 24 years old. Great and greater things just keeps happening to me.
Brilliant, man, brilliant. You know, when we last spoke, I remember that you said that you'd be very interested in seeing the outcome of the Daniel Roman versus Gavin McDonnell fight. Did you get a chance to watch it, Isaac? If so, what did you make of it?
I saw a few highlights of the fight. I mean, and Roman is a great guy. He did what he had to do, and he got Gavin McDonnell. So, I mean, right now, all we are asking for is for unification fight. You know, we can do that in the UK. I mean, the UK fans and fans globally, they want to see it. They want to see a great fight. They want to see the best fight, the best. So right now, we've got a task ahead of us, and we have to focus on that. And that's Emanuel Navarrete, another tough Mexican fighter. You know, he's one of Mexico's finest fighters, and we have to take him out. We have to get rid of him first, and then continue with our search for a unification fight.
Yeah, for sure. And you mentioned that guy there, Emanuel Navarrete. That fight takes place this weekend. His record's 25-1, and that one loss was on points over 4 rounds, so you can't really read into that too much. He does, however, have 22 knockouts in his 25 wins. This guy can clearly punch, Isaac.
Of course. But the thing is that, has he ever been punched by Isaac Dogboe? You know, so that's a question that we'll all have to find out come Saturday night.
And once again, you're giving away a lot of height here, Isaac. Do you like fighting bigger guys, or is it really because you don't have much of a choice?
Well, I don't really have much of a choice anyway, because I mean, I was the same size when I took the world title. Ever since I've been fighting, so I mean, I'm not gonna grow overnight. So it's just something that we have to deal with. I have no problem fighting tall people. And in the end, I always say that the battle is not my own. So once we get in the ring, we always find ways and means to adapt, and also, you know, to get rid of our opponents.
And you're coming off of 5 stoppages in a row. Navarrete is coming off of 8 stoppages in a row. That's a lot of stoppages, especially for Super Bantamweight. Does this fight end in a stoppage, or do you see it going the distance, Isaac?
I mean, this is the type of fight that TV like to see. You know, we are fighting on ESPN, and fans globally, I mean, they're the kind of things that they like. These are the kind of things that they love. You know, two fighters who love to knock their opponents out. So, I mean, things can only get better. You know, it's like I see two trains will be colliding. So, come Saturday night, there we're going to see, you know, a great fight, a potential candidate fight of the year. You know, because two guys who love to punch. You know, we both get punch hungry, and we just want to get at each other and just, you know. I know that, God willing, come Saturday night, I'm going to be on top. And I'm going to show my class. I'm going to show my level. You know, Emanuel Navarrete, he's strong. He can fight. He's tall and rangy. I mean, we just have to, like I said, we'll adapt to any situation, anything that he throws at us.
And of course, you're fighting on Lomachenko's undercard. Firstly, Isaac, are you a fan of Lomachenko? And secondly, your last fight was on the undercard of Beltran Pedraza, and obviously Pedraza pulled off the upset that night. Do you believe Pedraza has a chance of pulling off once again another upset when he fights Lomachenko on Saturday?
Well, you know, I mean, these guys are great fighters. You can't really take anything away from them. This is boxing, and anything can happen. I mean, I wish them both best of luck. They are credit to the sports, and they have to do what they have to do. You know, they have to entertain the crowd, and I mean, it can only get better.
And coming down to the last couple questions, Isaac, did you get a chance to watch Tyson Fury take on Deontay Wilder? If so, what were your thoughts on that fight and the whole outcome? Actually,
I didn't get a chance to watch the fight, but I saw a few highlights of it. I mean, I can't really pass any judgment on it because I didn't see it.
No, that's fair
and
enough.
I cannot base my opinion upon the opinions of other people.
Yeah, that's fair enough. And like I say before, when we spoke last time out, it was just a few weeks away from your birthday. Now we're just a few weeks away from Christmas. What will you be getting up to come Christmas time, Isaac? What will happen for you? And obviously going into the new year as well. Much celebration?
You know, Christmas is a time that we spend with our families and our loved ones, and I just can't wait to get rid of Navarrete and then go back home, you know, to my hometown. Well, first we'll be going to London, and then from there go back to my hometown in Ghana, Anyako, you know, to celebrate the Christmas with my people there. You know, they're waiting for my arrival so that we all, you know, join together and give praise and thanks to the Almighty God, the one that has been giving me victory, the one who will be giving me victory come this Saturday night.
Very well said, my friend. And finally, Isaac, just before we let you go, have you got any kind of last closing words just for the listeners before we let you go?
All I've got to say is, no. Everyone should come down to the Madison Square Garden. It's going to be fireworks. You know, you all know. Just come and have and witness it for yourself. You know, great fight, entertaining fight. As Dogboe taking on Emanuel Navarrete, a tough Mexican warrior. And look, all I can say is that you just get down there and let's have a ball. You know, this is the big apple. This is a big apple. As Dogboe, we have landed. The boys are back in town. The warriors are back in town, and we can't wait. You know, to give you an entertaining fight, you know, to give you a knockout to all of our global fans.
And I'm thoroughly looking forward to that, Isaac. I wish you all the very best for Saturday. Thank you once again for speaking to us, my friend, and I'll be tuning in live for sure. I hope that we catch up sometime in the new year. All the very best till then.
Thank you too. Thank you for having me on your show. God bless. Take care.
Okay, and this wraps up episode 164 of the BoxHard Podcast. I've been your host, Joey Coastman. Ayaz Sumra has been Ayaz Sumra. Because this week's show was so jam-packed with the talking, with the interviews, with this and that, we completely forgot to put the polls out on Twitter, and therefore this week there won't be any prediction league, so I'm very, very sorry about that for those that really like to get involved in that. It will return next week, though, so keep an eye out for that. I tell you what I'm going to do, though, as a replacement this week for missing out on the prediction league, we're going to do a t-shirt competition. All you've got to do is leave us a review on iTunes. The best review will win a BoxHard Podcast t-shirt, and I will personally get Ayaz to post it out for you. A big thank you to our two guests on this week's show, the undefeated WBO World Super-Bantamweight champion Mr. Isaac Dogboe, and the two-time world title challenger Mr. Willie Monroe Jr. All the very best to both men there. The biggest thanks of all, though, goes out to you, the listeners. Enjoy your weekends, people. Stay safe, and we shall catch you all again next week.